next regular meeting of the Southwest Licking Local School Board of Education to order. It is June 16th, 2022, in the Board of Education meeting room. I'd like to recognize our visitors in the room and online. If you would please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of Mrs. Stout's friends and Mrs. Boldle's friends.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That was awesome.
That's great.
Mr. Jones, could you please call the roll?
Sure. Mrs. Engel.
Here.
Mrs. Moore.
Here.
Mr. Vincent.
Here.
Mr. Ziny. Mrs. Spindler.
Here. Do we have any public participation? No. I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Jones?
Mr. Vincent.
Yes.
Mrs. Moore.
Yes.
Mrs. Engel.
Yes.
Mrs. Spindler.
Yes. Item 2, request to speak on agenda items, Teamsters or Selfless Looking Education. Seeing no one in the room, we'll move to item 3, approval of minutes.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Any discussion? Mr. Jones?
Mrs. Engel.
Yes.
Mrs. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Vincent.
Yes.
Mrs. Spindler.
Yes. Item 5, personnel consent calendar. There is A through F. I'm sorry, that was item, I missed 4. Okay, thank you. Financial report.
It's the most important part of the meeting.
Sorry, Rick.
Motion to approve the financial report.
Second.
Quickly, it's a fairly routine month. We did receive our homestead rollback settlement from Licking County that we expected last month. We got this month. Year to date, we're about $1.9 million higher than we anticipated in revenue, and our expenditures are a little over $1 million less than what we anticipated. So we're about $3 million ahead where we anticipate being at this time with 1 month to go. So far we're doing well, and knock out this last month and see where we're at the end of the fiscal year, but we're doing very well. I'll answer any specific questions you may have.
Anyone? Mr. Jones?
Mrs. Engel.
Yes.
Mrs. Moore.
Yes.
Mr. Vincent.
Yes.
Mrs. Spindler.
Yes. Now, item 5, A through M, or
I motion approval 5A through 5M.
Second?
any discussion?
I have a couple of things I wanted to say. We have another good chunk of teachers. I don't want to say we're almost done, but I think we're getting close, hopefully, to being finished. So we've hired 38 new teachers, that includes social workers, guidance, et cetera, for next year. Close to almost 50 employees when you count the classified as well. We also, on here is our new position of the residency and truancy consultant and also assistant athletics. So Jeff Severino will be joining us in that role next year. So previously we had that position through the county, so we're just taking that back. Where the school district's getting large enough now where we have a need for our own truancy person in-house. So we're excited that he'll be transitioning into that position. There are adjustment to salary schedules on here. When we negotiated with both unions last year, we added additional steps 25 and 30 for our classified. So this brings up our non-union classified, and it adds those steps to their salary schedules as well to make them aligned. And I think that's it on this stuff. Do you have anything you want to add, Rick?
No, you covered it perfectly.
Okay. Any questions, or those are the highlights?
I do, but. So the bus drivers that we bus drivers that that are substitutes? I don't know what my question was, I forgot it. I've been cleaning in my bathtub all day. That's a lot of substitutes, that's good. Is that typically what we have?
Sometimes. I mean, Ryan's working really hard to
Okay.
try to
But some of them are regular employees.
Right.
beef it up a little
Just
bit.
'cause-
I recognize
so
the
we can pay
names.
them, yes.
Yeah, okay. No, I was caught by the
How many?
the number,
Not
yeah.
really,
Yeah, we're hoping to start the year in a good position
Good.
with transportation. Any other comments or questions? Okay.
Mr. Vincent,
Yes.
Mrs. Engel,
Yes.
Mrs. Moore,
Yes.
Mrs. Spindler.
Yes. Item 6, personnel.
I'll move 6A and B.
I'll second that.
This is similar to other administrators bringing their contract adjustment. Since Mr. Perkins is a conflict for Mrs. Perkins, I make the recommendation based on your previous resolutions.
Okay.
Any additional questions or comments? Mr. Jones?
Mr. Vincent,
Yes.
Mrs. Engel,
Yes.
Mrs. Moore,
Yes.
Mrs. Spindler.
Yes. Item 7, business items.
Motion 7A through G?
I'll second that.
Garmin Miller is on Zoom. If you want to talk a little bit, any about the K3. This is SD phase submission, the first one, to get us moving to next phase. Kurt, are you on there? Is there anything you want to say, or? Maybe you can't hear me.
Yes, I'm on. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, good evening. Yeah, just as Mr. Jones had said, this is the first phase of many where we submit drawings for plan approval, or not plan approval, but for cost estimating, and we work through the cost estimate, and we've been meeting with the district committee weekly for the last several months, and we were at the board meeting 2 months ago where we talked about the really volatile construction market, the price of gas and the price of all construction materials, and also just lead times are something that we're working through. But what we're asking tonight for is kind of a summary of all the work that the committee's been doing with us to get the project on budget, with some alternates that I believe you have access to, and we just ask for approval to move on to our next phase, where we'll go through the estimating process again, and continuing to meet with the district committee.
So at this phase, I mean, the building is still way over budget, north of $5 million.
Yeah.
What we did to get through ST is we basically took a ton of classrooms and made them alternates to get us to budget. So right now, we know there's still about, I think Kirk can correct me, 2.7, 2.8 in design contingency, and then about like another 1.8 million in escalation, that as they get further along in DD, hopefully those will come down, and we'll see where we're at. But I fully intend, unless something major changes, that we're going to have to put more money towards this building if we want to get to 800. But this phase, we just want to get moving to the next phase, because they identify everything at this point that we could find that we could potentially cut. We just want to get there and before we decide whether or not how much money we need, and if where we're going to go from there. But this is just to get us moving to next, so they get more detailed drawings put together. Hopefully a better estimate. Maybe the economy's changed enough to bring some of that prices down some. But still, no, this building is way over budget. For if it's going to be 800 students, it's way over budget. Any additional comments on that or questions? Well, Kurt and Eric, you guys can go if you want to. Thanks for being on, or you can stay.
All right, thank you all.
See ya.
Hey, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
B is policy for second reading adoption, just organizational chart. C is something that was added on late. I just found out today with a call with our insurance consultant that back in calendar year, well, we have it calendar year 21 and 22, there was a program called 95%, basically, I'm all just mind. So basically, if our total cost that Medical Mutual paid was less, 95% or less than the premium we paid, they refund that 5% back to us. They had to wait 150 days past any runoff claims, but they had a phone call today and they said, guess what? You're getting $250,000 back.
When you said,
I started to wait a minute, no, hold on.
Classrooms.
250,000. Casey's going, yeah, there's commencement.
still, yes.
No, still 5%. It's a great. So obviously the way it breaks down, about 12.5% of that is premiums that were paid by employees, and the other 87.5% is the board share of the premiums. One thing that Dr. Perkins and I talked today, thought about the idea of, this is money we've already spent, it's just coming back. Won't we try to maybe do a premium holiday? So basically, if we do a premium holiday, the employees pay right now, based on last month, they pay $53,000 a month for the employee share of the premium. The board pays about $500,000 a month, ballpark. So if we if we gave them a 2-month premium holiday, then $100,000, $106,000 of that $250,000 would be used to offset their costs. That savings would go directly back to the employee, and it'd be more than their 12.5%, quite frankly. But so I still would leave us, another 100 and some thousand that would still go back into the general fund, or I'll use the board decide more premium holidays. But what we have on here is just a 2-month, month of July, month of August. A family employee pays $315 a month, so it'd be a $630 savings to them. Obviously, it's tax deferred when you pay as premium, so they would be taxed, so it wouldn't be quite that much in their check, but it would put a little bit more money in their check for July and August for anybody that's on Medical Mutual. So, Dr. Perkins and I recommend to the board a 2-month premium holiday, which is, again, it's not going to affect the general fund whatsoever. It's just based on the refund back from Medical Mutual.
I do too.
Yep. You don't hear that happening
Right.
ever.
No.
So that's fantastic.
We were excited.
Them being rewarded for not,
Yep.
for
We had a really good year. Yeah.
for having, I know sometimes things happen and you can't help it, but for being, just using the insurance wisely, that's.
Yeah.
I can do, are you done? Do you guys have more questions
Yep.
on C? If not, I can do D. Good. Are we good with C, or I don't want to? Okay.
Absolutely.
I didn't want to go on. So D, girls wrestling. So we're recommending to add that as an emerging sport. They'll have their own coach assistant, just like the other programs do. The head coach will still oversee the operations of all boys and girls wrestling. Okay. Questions on that? Keep going.
Girls. No, sorry, go ahead. Will the girls coaches be paid then?
Yes.
Okay.
The girls actually had a paid coach this year.
Okay.
Yeah. Because in the negotiated agreement, it says assistant wrestling coaches. It doesn't define how many. We determine that as a district.
Okay.
So yes, they will.
And this will be for the middle school too?
Yeah, it's 7 through 12. Again, pay participate would also kick in too. Now it's a recognized sport by the board also, but yes.
And then E is overnight trips, ironically, for wrestling. So a couple are camps this summer, and then Mark Kurth added on the wrestlings. In December, they do miss a half a day of school when they go to, the varsity team goes to a tournament. So that's on here to be voted on as well. Next, we have the autism seat agreement between us and the county. Because of the cost, it has to be board approved. If you have questions on that, Dan can answer too. Pretty standard. And then lastly is the bingo agreement. So I've been working on this with the boosters. The boosters want to bring back bingo. So this is an agreement that we've worked on in conjunction with our legal. So they will be, pending your approval, doing bingo. In the summers, it does allow them to do it on the weekends, and then with our approval of the time, and Sunday evenings as well. So I don't know if you have any questions on that either.
Anybody else have any questions? Okay, Mr. Jones?
Mrs. Moore,
Yes.
Mrs. Engel,
Yes.
Mr. Vincent,
Yes.
Mrs. Spindler.
Yes. Item 8, treasurer's items.
Motion 8A through D.
Second.
So A's are donations. Again, we always appreciate those. B is amended certificate estimate resource appropriation, just kind of bringing our year-end accounts in line with the high-rise code with budgetary requirements. C is temporary appropriations for next fiscal year, so we can pay our employees who start on July 1st. Premium holiday would be good, but not if they don't get paid. And then D is the now certificates. There's a couple in there I just want to point out as Amerisco. It's a then and now, but it's not. We did have a purchase order open to Musco Lighting, and then they got bought out. And our system doesn't allow us to go back and change the vendor on the PO, so we had to issue a brand new PO, and then the timing wise, but we did have it encumbered. But just because of the system way it showed up, I wanted to put it on here just to make sure there's no questions.
How close are we on the scoreboards being paid off?
I don't know off the top of my head. I can look. Hold on, if you have a quick moment.
No, you can get back to me.
Yeah, I'll send. I mean,
Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to know that too. If you could send all of us one.
yeah, I'd have. Again, I'm almost there.
Dan's spine is so consistent for everyone.
Yes,
They are.
they are.
I feel like I asked this like 6 months ago, and I was kind of surprised it was still that much balance.
Yeah, I think so too.
Still showing nine. It shows where are we at? Wait a minute, get over. $62,183 to go.
Okay.
Interest-free arrangement on those?
Yeah, I mean, basically, we paid the company, and then the people, the vendors, the people who made donations, agreed just to make payments based on a set dollar amount. So, yeah, we're not.
That's what people owe us. is
Yes,
this.
yeah, we've already paid off.
Those have been paid.
Those have been paid off. This is people paying the school district back based on their donations.
Any other questions for Mr. Jones? Mr. Jones?
Mrs. Moore,
Yes.
Mrs. Engel,
Yes.
Mr. Vincent,
Yes.
Mrs. Spindler.
Yes. Item 9, superintendent's items.
Okay, I have just a few things. In front of you is the annual bullying, harassment, seclusion report. You will note higher numbers this year than last. As I think I've said before in other previous board meetings, we've seen an increase in behaviors across the board. I hope this is something that we're going to see a decrease in next year, but I'm not surprised, the numbers are what they are. So if you have specific questions, I can try to answer, and or Mr. Davis can answer, but wanted to make sure everyone saw that. And if you don't, I can move on, but I'll give you a minute. No problem.
They went down in the high school from the fall to the spring.
Yeah, they actually, went down nicely.
From semester 1 to 2.
Yeah.
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 Do they know what? was
I'm
there
not
anything
sure.
specific
Do you know that, Dan? Or Tan?
I mean, I think just the kids being in school a longer time, especially the freshman and sophomore classes, that's where the majority of the behavior came
Do you want me to go on or not yet?
You guys have
Good.
I'm good.
Okay. A couple of just FYI or important things. Our new website rolled out yesterday. If you haven't been on there yet, Tanya has been working really hard on that with the admins. So it's still a work in progress, but already I would say it's a tremendous improvement from our last. It looks really nice. I think it's easy to find things, and we've already had a couple compliments from people just going on there to register, how quickly it is to find. So if you haven't had a chance yet, hop on there and take a look at that. We've also sent out, Ryan has sent out, I think it was a week and a half ago, a robocall to everyone impacted by the non-transport zones. Previously, emails went out, a robocall went out to let them know another email went out, another email went out. So really trying to make sure we hit them. We'll hit it again in July. So trying to make sure people have multiple opportunities. We'll do a robocall in July as well to refer them again to their email in case they haven't checked it. He has gotten some calls. We've gotten a few calls, but overall it's been okay. We just want to make sure people aren't caught off guard or surprised. So we'll make sure to continue to communicate as much as possible on that. And then in good news or exciting news, I submitted our taiko drummers to potentially perform at OSBA conference, and they were selected.
Wow,
So,
that's awesome.
Yeah,
That is awesome.
So I'm really excited about that. That's going to be a great representation for us.
Yes.
And so I just wanted to point that out as well. And that is it for me.
Okay, item 10, request to speak on non-agenda items, Teamsters or Southwest Licking. Seeing none, closing items, motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second. Mr. Jones?
Mr. Vincent,
Yes.
Mrs. Engel,
Yes.
Mrs. Moore,
Yes.
Mrs. Bendler,